It can only be attributable to human error.
You're entering paranormal.
He meddled in things that you keep so far. He meddled in things. He meddled in things.
Where will we go next? It's a phantom from another time.
No one, Mr. Mulder.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
That is one big pile of shit.
Hi everyone, my name is Alex Daikaiju. To my left,
Jasmine with
across from us,
Eli Watson.
and you're listening to
Cryptid
Campfire. Almost had it.
I got in at the Riptid.
The Riptid part. Riptid Campfire. We are on what, week 4
Yeah.
of our trek up Bigfoot Mountain?
Yeah, thankfully it's not as hot this week.
Oof,
'cause-
man, it
God.
was rough. We had like
Yeah.
a heat wave.
It was.
I think it was like 107.
What?
Yeah.
You keep throwing out numbers, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was hot. That's all I know.
But yeah, we're here on Bigfoot Mountain. We got a new base camp set up from our last hike, and today, what are we talking about?
Today we are going to be talking about some of the various brothers, cousins, relatives, species, breeds, whatever word you want to
Batsquatch?
use,
Huh?
of Bigfoot.
So Jasmine actually has plenty of stories about Batsquatch that she
No.
wants to.
A personal connection?
Isn't that what you?
Grassman.
Sheepsquatch?
What?
I'm joking.
No, I'm actually really excited for this episode because I kind of have a personal connection to it. I wasn't an eyewitness or anything like that, but there's a couple of things
No one has.
about the Ohio Grassman that are very intriguing to me and very fun. So I'm probably going to be doing quite a bit of talking in this episode.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can get through it all before too much time passes. That way Eli and Alex can share the different creatures that they've researched as well.
Or this might be a defining moment to where everyone just wants to listen to Jasmine.
Yeah.
And they're like, you just
Yeah.
cut the dead weight. Get over
Just
Eli and
cut the
Alex.
dead
I'm
weight.
going to go get my own podcast.
Yeah.
No. But I want to start off with a story today. It is the story that my dad told me. And I called my dad the other day, and he told me this story, and I have embellished it to make it more readable. I
Whoa.
haven't changed any of the facts or anything like that. I'm just making it...
Did you throw on
More-
some melon
Through-
heads for good measure?
Threw in
No,
a car
no.
crash with a blue Granada.
But I rewrote it rather than being in like an interview form. I kind of wrote it into a story form.
Mhm.
So I'm going to read that to you. This is all true. This is from my dad. He lives in Ohio still, currently with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Sick, I'm excited.
so-
I'm excited to hear
Yeah.
So this is the story. It's not very long, but here we go. My dad, Jay, and his friend Bob, yes, we are telling a story about yet another man named Bob, decided to go for a late night drive. That's what they did for fun in the late 80s. Road trips to nowhere on the empty open roads. They were driving towards Dayton, Ohio on Route 30 between 2 and 3 a.m., listening to the radio and talking about how cool it was that there was nobody else on the road in either direction. They were the only ones who would be witnesses on this night. Their peaceful cruise quickly became creepy when they both saw a 7 to 8 foot tall, shaggy-haired creature standing in the middle of the median. My dad said he got a weird vibe. Chills down his spine. The hair on the back of his neck stood up. He looked right at it, and it looked right back. But he kept driving. Neither him or Bob said a word for a good 15 minutes. They sat in silence until Bob finally asked, "Did you see that?" My dad simply replied, "Yep." Bob asked why my dad hadn't said anything, and his reply was, "I couldn't." They told themselves it had to have just been a tree, so they made a U-turn and drove back to the spot they had seen the unidentified thing. But there was no tree, there were no rocks, there was nothing, so they shut up and drove home. When I asked my dad, "You didn't get out to look for footprints or anything?" his response was, "Hell no!" He was 16 at the time, and he says, "It was as if it were crossing the road, saw us, didn't know what to do, and just waited until we passed." That is the story of my dad's encounter with what we believe to be the Ohio Grassman.
Whoa. And I was just going to add, because you say, oh, we're telling another story about a guy named Bob. But it's Jay and Bob
Yeah.
from Kevin
Jay,
Smith.
Jay and Silent
Silent
Bob?
My dad will appreciate that reference, I'm sure.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So yes, Ohio Grassman. In the 1700s, Indians native to the Ohio grasslands spoke of a race of bipedal ape men that they referred to as the wild ones of the woods. And the Indians would leave out food for the creatures in an effort to keep the peace. But when it comes to like cryptid, Grassman sightings, they date back to 1869. I watched the entire Monster Quest episode for
sick.
the Ohio Grassman.
Dope.
It's on YouTube, probably illegally, but I still watched it.
That's the best way.
And that states that on January 23rd of 1869, in Gallia County, a man and his daughter were on a walk when a wild man leapt at the father. And after a long and violent struggle, the daughter ended up throwing a rock at the creature's head, and they were able to escape. And they described the wild man as gigantic in size, with burning eyes and covered in hair.
Damn.
So that's kind of where like the Grassman legend starts. Though, like I've said, there was like legends of
There's the
the wild ones.
If
in the
if I'm
woods.
understanding this correctly, this is a reverse rock ape situation where the humans are throwing rocks at the animals.
Perhaps.
rock apes strong together.
So there are some differences and similarities with the Grassman when it comes to like your traditional Sasquatch or Bigfoot. So they're quite similar based on description. You know, large, hairy, bipedal creature.
Is it thick though?
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
Throw 3 C's on there.
Usually 6 to 8 foot tall, footprints ranging from 10 to 20 inches long. Some appear to have claws, pigeon toes, or flat feet, and some prints only have 3 toes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Actually, quick note on the three-toed. That came up with the Falk monster, the Boggy Creek monster. The first prints they ever took of it only had 3 toes.
Huh.
Interesting.
So that's. I've looked so hard and I cannot find other 3-toed prints, but here they are.
Here they be. Some reports say that the Grassman growls and barks with unusual heavy breath, but other reports say it sounds like the cry of a baby or the scream of a woman.
Ooh.
Either one of those sounds terrifyingly creepy
Yeah.
to me.
Awful.
And it does have a strong odor, like the odor of rot, which I think is similar
Ooh.
to a lot of other creatures, including some that I think Alex might touch on later.
Mr. Skunk Ape.
Yeah.
So just a side note from my dad's story, because when I read about this smell that they apparently put off, my dad said that the windows had been up the whole time, and they didn't roll them down, obviously, for safety. So they didn't smell anything, but who knows if there was actually anything coming off of that. Now, I do have some contradicting info about the behavior of the Grassman, which is kind of frustrating. But I guess that comes with anything, really. Some claim that the Grassman is a very aggressive and unimaginably strong. It's apparently known to kill dogs, like that of the Katyn family, who we will discuss more in a little bit. But aside from dogs, there's also been weird, deaths of deer that have been found, where only the deer's liver have been taken and the legs were twisted off.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's just
But-
sticking around.
But according to the Native American writings, the creatures are supposed to have the capacity for peace should it be beneficial for them. So this is indicative of a higher level intelligence. So I'm thinking that, maybe they are peaceful creatures, but everyone has bad days.
It just takes one to give everyone a bad name.
Well,
Yeah.
quick note about the deer. It's so strange, the liver thing, but they
Yeah.
have been seen to eat deer before.
Right.
So,
The Grassman or just
Squatch in
Squatches
general.
Watches in general.
but the liver, that's weird.
So I
A
know,
nice Chianti.
yeah, I know we've talked in the past about possible baby Bigfoots and things like that. And the Grassman is one such creature that seems to be more sociable. So there have been common sightings where there's more than just one. And it's reported that mothers have been seen with the babies. Interesting things found around these sightings would be feces found in the tree limbs and on wood fibers.
All right.
And then
The party animals.
hair strands were actually apparently sent to the Ohio State University at one point, but they've never been identified.
What are you trying to hide, Ohio State University? What do you got to hide? Wait, it's Ohio State University?
Osu?
Osu.
Osu.
Osu, what you got to hide?
So I feel like I'm zooming through all of this, but that's because I have so much, and I'm afraid that I'm
Yeah.
not gonna be able to leave time
I
for
don't-
you guys.
I don't
So I'm
mind.
just gonna keep going.
Yeah,
Just
no
keep
worries.
going.
Yeah.
I'm
So
listening.
the Grassman.
We got nowhere else to go but up on Bigfoot Mountain.
The Grassman name comes from the fact that, or not, maybe not the fact, but the belief / fact that they seem to eat largely tall grasses like wheat.
Mm-hmm.
Some
Weed.
researchers theorize that the Bigfoot population in more agricultural areas of Ohio may have adapted to consuming cereal crops. These planted crops would provide an easy source of food for Sasquatch.
Cereal crops?
Like Frosted
Yeah,
Flakes?
Yeah,
they
like
plant
wheat
Frosted
and
Flakes?
oats and things like that.
They're eating my Lucky
They're,
Charms?
they're eating my honey oats.
But they also create hut-like structures or nests out of the tall grass.
Mhm.
A guy named Jody Cook from the Ohio Center for Bigfoot Studies found one of these structures back in 1995. It was 10 feet long, 3 feet wide, and could easily fit 3 grown men inside. And they tried to debunk it
Mhm.
because people were saying, oh, maybe just like some kids built a fort or whatever.
Mhm.
And they tried to recreate it themselves. But after like an hour of barely getting it anywhere, they determined that a child probably couldn't have created it.
Mhm.
And they tried to go back and find it later,
But it was gone.
and it was gone.
What?
Mostly because it had been mowed over.
I
Like the
was
land.
gonna say the first thing I picture of the Grassman is their mortal enemy is the lawnmower.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of farmland in Ohio, and that's kind of why this all makes sense. So Salt Fork State Park, which is a mouthful that I can barely ever say correctly, it's part of what's known as the Sasquatch Triangle.
Ooh.
It's the largest state park in Ohio, and it provides lots of places and natural resources for a Grassman or a Bigfoot to hide and exist off the land. This is also near where Don Keating of the Eastern Ohio Bigfoot Investigation Center captured a strange video in 1992, and this is where we get into some video evidence.
Videos.
He was out in Coshocton, and he had gone out to investigate, so that's why he was out there. And he had left his camera on the whole time, so like if he was moving or if he was walking, the camera was still on.
Right.
Taking
And
a
at one
whiz.
point, I hope not. And at one point, he had like just turned, like he was making a turn. He wasn't paying attention to where the camera was facing because he was watching his footing instead. But he captured something, and he didn't even realize that he captured something until like a year and a half later.
Oh my.
When he was going through the footage.
Uh-huh.
Basically, I mean, it's very simple to describe. It's just this creature off in the distance of the tree line who just walks across the frame. And he sent it to Peter Schmitz, who was a motion engineer who analyzed the footage, but obviously came to no true conclusion because the VHS tape was low quality, and when you zoom in and enlarge things,
Enhance.
yeah, when you do that, it just gets pixelated, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't look like anything. But that's, I think, one of the more well-known pieces of video pertaining to the Grassman.
Sick.
And then today I also watched the Small Town Monsters documentary for Minerva Monster.
Whoa.
Heyo.
Now-
Shout out.
Shout out.
The Minerva Monster may or may not be a Grassman. The documentary actually never uses the word Grassman. They just call it the Minerva Monster.
They couldn't afford the rights.
Maybe. So, this may or may not be the same kind of creature. Either way, it's still a Bigfoot-like creature in Ohio, which is why it got me excited. And that's why I watched this today.
Whoa.
The whole documentary, which is like, I think 54 minutes long, focuses on the story of one family, the Katyn family, which have been improperly named the Clayton family in a lot of
Oh.
sources. So I just want to point that out. It's Katyn. There's no L.
The-
Clayton's easier to say.
I know.
The L is silent. It's an old Ohio technique.
So this story centers around August of 1978. James Shannon, who was the Stark County Sheriff's deputy, answered a call to a home on Route 30. The Katyn family had told the officer that they had been plagued with some sort of hairy beast around their residence for the entire past month. And they originally thought that it was like a hermit or someone living in the woods or like just someone messing with them. But when the sheriff arrived, there was a peculiar ammonia smell. So then he met with the Katyns, who were obviously distressed, and they described hearing rocks hit the roof of their house.
Ooh.
So we're back to the rock throwing.
Rock apes.
I knew it.
Go back to Nam.
They're just over here trying to find jobs to support the families that were left in ruins when the war happened.
man.
So they had also found footprints around their property that they couldn't identify. And one of them had seen a large, hairy creature up against their house outside. And then there was at one point when the family was having dinner in the kitchen when this creature decided to peer in through the window.
Oof.
So they're all just chilling at dinner when this creepy thing just starts looking in the window like, hey, what's up? Can I join you for dinner?
Ooh. Pass the gravy.
And so Mr. Katyn decided to go get his shotgun and pointed it at the creature through the window, and it didn't react in fear. It just kind of was like, whatever, and then walked away. And in this moment is when they realized that this wasn't some sort of hoax. This wasn't like some sort of vandalism. Because if it was a person in a suit, they would have like ducked or run because they don't want to die.
Right.
But that's not what happened.
Right.
So they said it was as tall as where the roof met the walls of the house, so between 6 and 7 feet tall, covered in hair, obviously, and seemed to weigh 400 to 500 pounds. And this is where we discover that the Grassman is thick, because you could see the muscular physique, even though it was still covered with hair, so you could still see the muscle structure and the strength. Yeah.
Rippling buttocks.
So the deputy, Shannon, wasn't able to actually find the creature or anything like that, but he found some fur on a nail that had been protruding out of their chicken coop. It was grayish-brown, fine and fuzzy, and he collected it and submitted it to a professor at a local college. And this is where I get excited, because that local college was my college, y'all.
Whoa.
Malone University in Canton, Ohio.
Christopher Malone.
Now I'm not sure. I'm assuming that the professor they sent it to was a zoology or a biology expert, because
They sent it to the math
I
teacher.
know,
They're like, here's some hair.
because Malone does have a zoology and biology department. I actually know someone who like went through the courses and things like that.
Did you hit them up about the
I did
fur?
not.
It's hard to get reception on Bigfoot Mountain.
So he collected this fur and sent it to a professor at Malone, and this professor wasn't able to tell him what it came from. They also found hair samples in the thorn bushes behind the house. And when Barbara Galloway, a reporter from the Akron Beacon Journal, wanted to track down these pieces of fur, these pieces of hair, they tried to contact Malone, and they claimed that they lost them or never had them. So scandal. My university is involved in a cover-up of Bigfoot. Like, what?
Whoa.
Like, that's so crazy to me.
What's their phone number? We're all going to call them. We're going to do a campaign.
Well,
Where's the Bigfoot hair? Where's the Grassman hair?
Well, when you call them, can you also ask them to drop all of my student loans, please?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hashtag drops Jasmine student loans. Also, where's the Sasquatch Grassman hair?
So that was pretty crazy for me to just be watching this documentary, and they're like, we sent it to Malone College, and I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. Why did I not know about this?
And then they lost it mysteriously. And you're like,
so, besides the fur and all that, they had also found what seemed to be like bedding down by the ravine behind the house. So it was this like pile of leaves, branches, grass that had been squished down and kind of looked like something had been sleeping there.
Mm-hmm.
So he was living in a van down by the river?
90s reference?
I didn't say anything about
for
it. For
millennials?
Please.
After that derailing comment, please continue.
So there were some other folks who lived in the same trailer park. So this was a trailer park that the Katyns lived at. And
that explains a lot.
And there were some other families who had seen the creature cross the road on Route 30. Describing it in the exact same way that the Claytons did. So this is part of what kind of convinced the Akron Beacon Journal reporter, Barbara Galloway, that what they had seen was real, because these families apparently hadn't interacted or told their stories to each other, but their stories all matched. Like, there were consistencies in what they said.
Yeah.
And so they brought in a police sketch artist, and they were able to make a drawing based on the descriptions, which interestingly, they said that the hands and the palms and the thumbs were outward when they saw this creature. Don't know what relevance that has. Yeah, like it was like
he was walking.
It's what's that the meme? It's like, I guess I'll go this then. With was it Zac Efron, to where he's like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, no food in the house. I guess I'll starve then.
Yeah.
And so it's the Grassman like that. I guess I won't get any food from the dinner then.
So, I keep putting emphasis on Route 30 when I say it, because that's where my dad saw the creature that he had seen.
Right.
And I didn't know that there was any like relevance to this street, but Route 30 goes like all the way across the U.S.
Oh, whoa.
From
road trip.
California to New York, I think, is where it started.
Wow.
Anyways.
We're going to Albany.
So, after my dad told me his story, and then I watched this documentary, and they keep bringing up Route 30, I'm like, whoa, connections.
It's a cursed road.
Here's a really weird thing that I don't think we've heard of so far when talking about Bigfoot, Sasquatch creatures.
Okay.
So
we've heard a lot.
We have.
Yeah,
so
we
we've talked about these creatures traveling on their own individually. You know, you see a Bigfoot, you see a Bigfoot. We've also talked about the sociability of them, how they might travel in packs, might bring their baby with them, whatever. But there's also stories from Minerva, from these families, including the Katyns, who say that when they see these creatures, they're also seeing cats, but not just house cats. They're seeing cougar-like cats that shouldn't be in Ohio.
Whoa.
And this is from more than just one family.
I
But
can't handle this.
so
Sasquatch cats.
So whenever they saw, like, they don't know what the connection is. They were like, we don't know if they're traveling together for a purpose. We don't know if it's coincidence. But every time we see this Bigfoot creature, we end up seeing this giant cat too.
Interesting.
But I guess like the face wasn't normal. Like it didn't look like a normal cougar face. There was something strange about it. So that's kind of a weird thing that doesn't really fit with anything we've talked about in the past, but was definitely interesting.
Grassman got pet cats.
I
like them already.
So the Canton Repository, which is one of the other local newspapers in Ohio, they ended up doing a continuing series of stories on people who came to search for the creature. And this is fun and entertaining for people who are interested, of course. However, it ended up being a big burden for the Katyn family because they were getting harassed. They were having people show up on their property at 3 and 4 a.m. wanting to go and like search for this creature. People were coming from all over to try and investigate, and so the harassment kind of ruined the excitement of everything. And then, of course, you know, local businesses start using the Bigfoot, the Minerva Monster as promotional, you know, things like Bigfoot waffles or whatever and stuff like that.
We put hair in them.
Oh my.
So, as of 2015, which I think that's correct in saying that this documentary was made in 2015. I could be wrong, but I wrote it in my notes, so it's probably right. So, as of 2015, when this documentary was made, the Katyns say that they still hear the knocks. They still get the rocks thrown. They still have sightings, but they no longer feel threatened. They kind of just know that this creature is kind of just reminding them, hey, I'm here. I just want to say hi.
I'm just
What's
gonna
up,
throw this
guys?
rock through your window.
Yeah.
And they now turn away people who want to try and come hunt it. One of the Katyn family members in the documentary actually ends the movie by saying the Minerva Monster is not a monster, it's just a thing. So doesn't really find it to be violent in nature. It's just kind of there, and they're trying to coexist with it. So yeah, I blew through all of that, but I wanted to get all of it out because of all the research we've done, this was kind of the most exciting for me just because I do have these personal connections. And now I'm like, shoot, when I go home and visit the next time, maybe I should go to Minerva and like see what's up.
Yeah.
But
go shoot a Bigfoot for us.
I'm not going to do that.
With a camera, of course.
Oh, okay, I got you. And that was clever. So, that was the bulk of my research.
Wow.
That was
That's
the
cool.
bulk of my talk. So now I will pass it along to Eli and
But
Alex.
I mean, I'm kind of glad you did that though, because that kind of sets up everything.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's like a really in-depth case, and everything else isn't gonna be that in-depth.
There's just these stories of giant monkeys walking around harassing
But
people.
like, it does a good job of like touching on a little bit of everything. That's
Cool.
gonna be, like the smell and like
The smell, the rock throwing, two
yeah,
people named Jay and Bob hanging out.
yeah.
uh,
So my story begins at a video rental place. Just kidding,
Oh?
I'm joking.
the
That was
setting
another-
is 1996.
Was that a
Captain Marvel
Captain Marvel reference?
Falls through the sky.
Oh no, it was actually Jay and Silent Bob
Oh
because they
yeah.
hang at the video rental store.
Well, yeah.
I don't know if you remember that from Clerks.
You remember that movie Clerks? But I was gonna say before we move on, that's pretty crazy. So Ohio's got Grassman and Melonheads running around.
I guess so.
Do you think
It's a lot.
Melonheads take Route 30 back and forth in their Blue Granada?
Most likely. I don't see why they wouldn't.
Whoa.
Whoa.
They hitch ride. Grassman hitch rides with them too sometimes.
No, that would be tight.
Yeah. They hotbox in the car a little bit. They smoke the Grassman.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Continue, Eli.
I was just gonna go straight into the Skunk Ape.
Yeah.
Speaking of smells,
One of
Which
the...
is good because this is Florida, right?
Yo, you know it.
Florida.
I have a friend named Chelsea. Hi, Chelsea. I don't think you listen to this podcast.
Who's seen one?
Who is
no,
a
she
skunk
hasn't
ape?
seen one, but she was talking to me about the podcast. We had gone out just to hang out one time, and we were shopping at Target. And she
Ooh.
was like, "You have a podcast, right? Where you talk about cryptids?" And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Have you talked about the skunk ape?" And I was like, "No, but I can bring it up." So this one's for you, Chelsea.
This is for you. Living the dream.
Chelsea. Alright.
Yeah, skunk apes.
Uh,
Bigfoot's dinky cousin.
yeah.
Basically.
Well, the records of Skunk Ape really begin, like recorded sightings begin pre-World War II
Mm-hmm.
through the early 70s before it kind of changed.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like a chupacabra type thing.
Yeah, he kind of evolves as we go on.
Yeah, because at first he was a chimpanzee-like, short, hairy, smelly.
Mm.
They actually left prints, like knuckle prints, with a toe sticking out to the side.
Interesting.
Some more like,
Like a hand foot.
yeah.
Interesting.
More-
like a chimpanzee foot, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and witnesses said that they move around on all fours, so very chimpanzee-like.
Yeah.
Very, and most of those come from like Brooksville or like Hollow Paw.
Hollow Bob.
I'm not from there, so sorry. Here's one guy who said Charlie Stoichman, and he saw a skunk ape in the Florida Keys in 1977, and he says it stunk awful, like a dog that hasn't been bathed in a year suddenly gets rained on.
Oh, I know.
And I know that smell very well.
Oh.
Yeah.
What if, you know what's better?
What?
A dog that got sprayed by a skunk who hasn't had a bath in a year
Yeah.
and then
Then
gets
gets-
rained on.
Ooh.
That's pretty
And
bad.
then they've been eating baked beans all day, too.
They baked. Why?
So they're gassy.
So wait, what were you saying though?
Let's see. What were we talking about? The skunk ape?
Mhm.
Yeah, he mostly chills out in Florida,
Yeah.
catching the rays from the sun. Goes
Mhm.
to Disney World every so often. Sometimes they show up in South Carolina and Arkansas every so
Yeah.
often, but Florida's the main place. So
Yeah.
in the Everglades
In the
is where they
Everglades.
mostly hang out and most sightings are.
Right. Because the sightings really started happening a lot during the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because that's when all the developers started encroaching on the Everglades and
Right.
started building things. So it kind of displaced them.
Yeah. They go back through Native American
Do they?
folklore. It's because you said the first sighting was like 1920s or so,
Yeah, like the early,
early 20s.
like pre-World War II.
Oh, okay. So it says go back further in the 20th century, the Muskogee and Seminole tribes that lived in the Everglade forest before the European settlers arrived claimed they've been seeing skunk apes in the woods for hundreds of years.
Wow.
They call them St. Kapkaki, or the Tall Men. and they're normally protectors of the woods, and they try to keep people away who would do damage to the forest. So
I like that.
Developers.
they're more peaceful and easygoing. Because I don't think there's ever really been a skunk ape attacks. Most of the sightings I found was like if someone was walking around and then it smelled really bad, and the skunk ape walked over and like took a piece of bread or something.
And, like gave him the sup nod.
Yeah, it was
Just
like
kept
sup.
going.
Get the heck out of here. It's my territory. I'm skunk ape territory now. But they have a pretty good list of names for them.
Do they?
Yeah, because they're known
Sure.
as skunk apes, but they go as swamp apes, stink apes, Florida Bigfoot, swamp squatch, or my favorite, swamp cabbage man,
Swamp Cabbage Man?
which is like just the greatest name ever.
Wow, is Swamp Cabbage Man a dimensional window fall?
Yeah, and that means Bigfoot can be called just normal cabbage man.
Cabbage Man.
He doesn't live in the swamp.
Does the cabbage come from the smell? Is that why it's a thing?
Like cabbage.
Swamp
But
cabbage?
cabbage doesn't really stink though.
I mean,
It's
it can.
It can't. I guess
If it's in a swamp.
I mean, who knows? If they're asking someone, some guy was like in the Everglades and saw a skunk ape, and he's just like, "I'll tell you what, I saw a big old monkey down in the Swift Gates. What did you see? I saw a big old monkey. Swamp cabbage man. What? A swamp cabbage man. What?
I don't know what's happening right now.
Well,
Me either.
Fire Chief Vince Doerr.
Vince Dorr?
Vince Doerr.
His last name's Dorr?
It's Doerr.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say
Dorr.
because he's a firefighter and he has to break down doors to get into buildings.
I don't know. He said he saw one cross the street in front of his house.
Jaywalked.
Was his house on Route 30?
I don't know.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Route 30 doesn't go down to Florida.
Oh.
I don't
Heyo.
think. Actually, I'm going to pull that up because I'm curious. Continue.
Well, he was able to photograph it as it entered the swamp. But, and this is strange because most people who take the photos believe they're authentic. This guy, the fire chief, believes it is a man in a gorilla costume. The man who took the photo does not believe it's real.
He thinks it's a furry.
Yeah,
It's just a guy in a gorilla suit going around.
yeah. So
Well, it is Florida.
yeah.
If we're gonna be honest,
Florida
it's just
man.
like Florida man strikes again.
So Route 30 does not go down to Florida. It's a straight east to west, west to east
Okay.
type deal through the middle of the
West.
U.S.
Weast. I thought you said weast.
And then we have the famous photo.
Yes.
It's called the Mayakan photo. The
Mhm.
Mayakan skunk ape photo. And it arrived in a letter, and it arrived at Saratoga Sheriff's Department on December 22nd, 2000. And it was a letter and 2 photos. And this woman, an anonymously sent letter. This woman didn't want to be
Was that the
known.
photo?
Yep, that's the one.
Can you show? Oh.
And I'll put it on the
Yeah,
gram.
we'll throw it on the
How
gram.
do you spell Mayakan?
Myakkan.
Definitely not what I had.
Yeah, I know. It's definitely out there. But the story is this woman was out there with her husband. They're staying out somewhere in Florida in Mayakan something.
Mm-hmm.
Mayakan Park, I think.
There's more than one photo, it looks like.
There's 2. There
Yeah,
should
yeah,
be
okay.
2. And this woman said that they had apples out on the porch
Mm-hmm.
and they disappeared overnight. So they sent out more apples on the porch and they disappeared again.
Yeah.
So on the 3rd night, they put out some apples, and she said that she heard a large, like a whoomp sound.
Uh-huh.
There it is.
And she went outside, and from what I understand, she didn't have the flash on the first time.
Uh-huh.
So she took a picture, didn't see anything, and then turned the flash on and caught that,
Yeah.
and it just started walking away.
Yeah.
She was like, what? And I guess they set out apples again on the 4th night, but didn't get any pictures, but just looked at it.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty interesting.
They were originally trying to keep doctors away.
Yeah.
They just put apples on the porch like vampires to garlic.
Yeah. What?
'Cause-
Oh, I get you. Okay.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
was
Sorry,
gonna
I
say.
misunderstood.
Are you okay there?
Yeah. Anyways, the woman described the skunk ape as being, well, she calls it an orangutan.
Yeah.
And she described it as being 6.5 to 7 feet tall, which
Mhm.
is much larger than an orangutan. and with a stinky smell that lasted for a while after it left.
Oof.
So, Lauren Coleman actually investigated the photographs,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and it's on his website. It's also in his book. They've concluded that it's not a hoax, like a cardboard cutout or a person in a suit.
Yeah.
But is it what it claims to be? It looks kind of like an orangutan.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a side-by-side
Yeah.
comparison of the facial features of this photo versus an actual orangutan, and there's 5 different arrows that kind of point out
Features and
features.
things.
Mm.
But
6 arrows.
then again, it is 6.5 to 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
Which is much larger.
That's a big monkey.
Yes, it is.
It's interesting too, the coloration of the photo, in my opinion, because, I mean, if it is an orangutan, it must be a really old one because he's got a gray beard.
Yeah.
Old grandpa orangutan.
Well, I think that kind of adds to the whole skunk vibe
Mm.
because it's got a stinky smell and then it's gray and black,
Yeah.
so it kind of looks like a skunk.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know when the name Skunk Ape started getting used.
Yeah, I'm assuming. Yeah, maybe the first sightings, if people were just like, "Oh, it looked like a monkey and it smelled," so
Yeah,
and then
skunk.
skunk ape,
Yeah.
because that's it. Because we know what the Native American name is for these, but I guess
Mhm.
skunk ape just showed up.
Right. So did you have any
Uh,
others?
The other cousins of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Because we got Skunky in Florida. We got old Batsquatch.
Oh yeah. Tell us about Batsquatch.
Well, Batsquatch is a 9 foot tall.
Whoa.
9
Yellow-
feet.
Yeah, it's a big
That's-
ass.
That's.
Yeah.
Biologically, he would.
It was all biological. It's 9 feet tall. It's got yellow eyes, sharp teeth, almost like a wolf-like muzzle.
Mm.
Blue to black fur.
What?
Yeah.
Blue.
A few reports say he's got kind of blue fur. And a wingspan that, I don't know if it's true, but it says up to 50 feet.
50 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, a wingspan? So this is a Bigfoot with wings?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
You got the
But,
Batsquatch.
50 feet? That
Yeah.
seems a little large.
Yeah, but that's the source says it's got 50 feet, which is I think even bigger than a Thunderbird.
I know.
Because they're like, oh, it's about 30 feet wide, you know? It's like, oh, that's big, so it's giant.
Batsquatch versus Thunderbird, who wins? I still say Thunderbird.
I'd say Thunderbird.
Yeah, I would say it can shoot lightning.
I'd say Thunderbird, especially just because I feel like Batsquatch is just fake.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah,
But-
from the reports, it's so the main sighting I had was this guy was I don't remember where he was driving, but his car just stopped,
Mm.
and then just this giant thing flew in front of the car,
Mm.
looked at him, roared, and then flew away,
Mm.
and that was it. And that's like the only real sighting of Batsquatch.
Oh.
Really?
Other than, it said they've been reported. This is what's interesting. It's been reported by Mount Shasta.
What's that?
Which we're going to talk about.
We're gonna talk down the line with some Bigfoot sightings and other weird stuff.
Yeah, that's in California, right?
Mhm.
Mount Shasta.
Yeah. So there was one story where a few group of hikers were going around Mount Shasta and they saw it kind of flying around,
Mm.
but just for a few seconds before it flew off. So, and someone said they have a picture of it. The report I said is, oh, pictures have been looked at, but they have been unconfirmed. But I was like, I can't find pictures of Batsquatch.
Mm.
All I can find is pictures of there's an IPA called Batsquatch IPA. So I've seen a lot of pictures of that, and I want to try it because I'm sure it's tasty. But I don't know about real Batsquatch.
Yeah.
Now, you had said that the car stopped for this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Was that related to the Batsquatch? Because I pulled up
Oh, I think did you
good
find-
old Google on my phone here, and it says that Batsquatch is said to have the ability to affect car engines.
Well, that's the only story of the guy being in the
That's the
car
only
with
one.
Batsquatch. So, they're saying it might have some way to interfere with car engines with its 50-foot wings.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. Batsquatch is a fun idea. Okay, Cryptid. Hopefully a good beer. But I couldn't find too much on him that wasn't just like, it sounds like someone just wrote it as like a story.
Well, speaking of large, squatches,
Oh.
specifically things that are 9 feet tall or
Oh.
larger. We're going back to our good friend Roger Patterson,
Okay.
who was investigating footprints for a while, a couple
Mhm.
years, and he couldn't help but wonder if there was something larger out there, larger than Bigfoot, but not a Bigfoot, that was leaving nearly like 2-foot tracks, like huge, like 2-foot long tracks
Okay.
with only 4 toes. Because we did bring it up that 4-toed tracks have been found,
Yeah.
but is it Sasquatch? And Mark A. Hall created a term for this other bipedal hominid called a true giant.
Okay.
And so estimation would be 10 to 20 feet tall, with dark hair, longer on the head and shorter on the arms. And I'm sure they've been seen, but I mean, I don't know if you would be able to tell the difference between a Bigfoot and that, other than its size.
The size and it's more balding on the top.
Yeah, they're actually the opposite.
Oh, wait.
Balding on the body.
Oh, okay.
Hair longer on the top, shorter on the arms.
So they're rocking the mullets.
Yeah, and they're reported around the world apparently.
Ooh.
And other names include the Chenu, Nialmo, and Oran Dalam.
Oh,
But
okay.
Nialmo,
Sounds
we
like a
talked about.
band.
Yeah.
The Nialmo we talked about already
Yes.
in the Yeti episode. That's Yeti's older cousin.
Oh, is that
bigger cousin.
the big Elmo one that
Yeah.
claps at the trees?
Yeah.
And everybody, like has a gay old time with them.
Right? Yeah.
Hey,
That's exactly.
I like that guy.
Yeah. So
And
also I'm gonna touch on this very little briefly. Maybe we could do an episode on this later. But they found skeletons of giants
right.
about 10 feet tall or taller, all over the United States. I mean, that's what the mound people are.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them in Peru, South America. It's definitely
Nephilim skeletons.
Nephilim skeletons. Yeah, it's definitely interesting because it's something that's definitely happening.
Yeah.
They're finding these. So
Turn them into fossil fuel.
yeah. Wow, look at this big ass femur. Just throw it in your car engine.
Throw it in your Honda Civic from
Yeah.
2002. It'll last you
Or
for
your
a
blue
week.
Granada.
Yeah.
Yeah, throw it in your
Ooh, that's what the melonheads use because
The
they can't
burning
afford.
Connections.
They can't afford gas prices. Are you crazy?
So they're burning Squatch
They're
bones.
burning squatches.
How come we can't find any Squatch bones? 'Cause they're
Because we're
melon-
all back to
burning 'em.
burning them.
You know what? It's out there if you look. You know, just do some research and you'll understand
Oh my
everything
gosh.
makes complete sense.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So that was the True Giants.
Those are the true giants.
Interesting.
Do you have another one for us?
I don't know if you got info on this guy too. He was what you might call a listener suggestion.
Okay.
We got Sheepsquatch.
No, I missed it.
Oh, okay. I just got a little bit of info about him. This one's pretty interesting because Sheepsquatch, he's in West Virginia.
West Virginia.
I was so off key.
But he's hanging out with Mothman.
Aha.
West Virginia's got all kinds of
And
weirdos.
Indrid Cold.
Indrid
and a
Cold's
bunch
in
of
there.
other ones.
Flatwoods Monster's there too.
Oh yeah.
All the cryptids are friends.
Yeah.
They all hang out.
They all
Unless,
hang out, and
they're
West
the
Virginia
melonheads.
is the best place to go to. Yeah, but
Except for California, we got Bigfoot.
we got Bigfoot and we got a tiny cowboy named Bob Gimli. It's also known as the White Thing, because it's
Whoa.
normal.
Whoa.
Ooh. Where's my description? It's usually on all fours, about the size of a bear,
Okay.
but it'll have all white fur, long sharp teeth, almost like saber-tooth teeth too as well.
Mm-hmm.
A single set of goat-like horns on its head, raccoon-like hands, so its paws have like opposable fingers,
So interesting.
and it's got a long hairless tail like a possum.
What?
So it's just like a who's what's of different animals.
So wait, how is it a Squatch though?
Uh,
What makes it Sheepsquatch?
It's a catchy name. Rebranding you'd rebrand yourself too if you're just known as the White Thing from West Virginia. You gotta be cool. You gotta be hip. He's been seen in most counties, mostly Boone County, Kanawha County, Putnam County, and Mason County is where they usually see most Sheepsquatches running around.
Sorry, which state is this?
West Virginia.
Duh, we sang the song. Oh my gosh.
And what's interesting about this guy is there's a strong sulfur smell that's attached to him. So people will usually report seeing or smelling something real bad, and they'll see him off in the distance. And most
that happened with Flatwoods Monster too, right?
Yeah, Flatwoods. But then skunk apes are stinky too.
Yeah.
But that's like a wet dog. There's like a sulfur smell.
Yeah.
I think Mothman had a sulfur smell too attached to him.
That's interesting.
And there's the folklore myth that he was actually born in the TNT factory in Mason County, by Mothman.
Wild.
Touching on the sulfur thing real quick, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that something that shows up when there's possible demonic activity too?
Yeah, it's like
that's
that burnt
weird.
egg smell.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why people think Mothman's kind of sketchy because he's got a bad odor. But but one theory suggests it might not be anything demonic. It might be like a musk scent gland, like a weasel or a skunk, because they're kind of musky. That way they can kind of mark their territory, let everyone know when they're feeling the mood to get down.
Oh, I get you.
Have you ever guys or like a ferret? Have you guys ever had a ferret?
I didn't, but my parents did.
Yeah, they're stinky. Unless you
They're
bathe
vicious
them.
too, I
Are
guess.
They can be, but they're also really goofy little tube dogs.
Tube dogs?
Yeah, because it looks like a dog went through a tube.
They're tube puppies.
Yeah, tube puppies. But ferrets are awesome. But yeah, they could be kind of crazy and stinky sometimes. But that's Sheepsquatch. And most sightings, from what I could tell, he just kind of lumbers around, picks through people's garbages. People see him in the distance.
Like a raccoon.
Yeah, so he's just a big white raccoon that's terrorizing West Virginia's trash cans.
He's a white tube dog?
Yeah, white tube dog. White tube puppy.
Wow.
But that's Sheepsquatch. He's pretty awesome. He's just super cute.
Is he? Because I googled his image and there was a lot of creepy things on that.
Let me
I didn't see
Really?
any cute ones.
Let
yeah.
me find
I mean, they're all artist renderings.
This
There's
is
no actual
This is the
photos.
artist rendering. Hey, this looks like a big panda with teeth.
Where's his eyes?
I'm assuming that's supposed to be glowing, but it looks like he has eye patches on.
Dude, what?
But yeah, old Sheepsquatch. Oh, and he's also fairly.
It's a hard word.
Yeah.
Sheepsquatch.
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 Also known as the white thing from West Virginia.
Sheepsquatch.
What a strange drawings.
Yeah.
So strange.
You looked like you were going to say something for the longest time, and then you just stood there and didn't say anything, so we didn't say anything either.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so
What else you got for us?
we're going down under.
Oh?
We're going.
We're going to Outback?
Oh,
We're going-
yeah.
Oh,
Get a bloomin' onion.
Let's go
Yeah.
eat.
Oh my
We're
lord.
going to go eat after this?
Oh,
I kind
yeah,
of want
so.
some food.
Yep. We're gonna go cook a squatch. All right.
Squatch.
And use them as fossil fuel.
Fool.
We're gonna
We
use
use
them
them for fossil fuel, fool.
anyway.
Can you talk about this creature in an Australian accent,
I can
please?
definitely
You
try.
can definitely embarrass yourself for a while.
Well, I don't. Yeah, maybe. I've been kind of working on it though. Kind
Alright,
of.
let's
All
give it
right,
a
lay
try.
down on us.
All right. So I'm scared. I've never been put on the spot. I kind of just do it. And I don't know. It'll happen. It'll happen. Trust me. All right. So the Yowie is a kind of a catch-all term, kind of like Bigfoot. Bigfoot's kind of used to catch everything. So because there's any sort of unidentified primate down there is just oh yeah, that's Yowie.
Okay.
But Yowie isn't even what the Aboriginals call them. I mean, they call them now, but I honestly have no idea where the name Yowie came from.
It's a corruption of Wowie. What's that thing over there?
It's actually, I think it's a corruption of Yahoo.
Yeah. Oh,
which-
okay. Gulliver's Travels.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly where it came from because, you had, the British sending all their prisoners over here to Australia and they brought their Gullible's Travels
Yeah.
with them and then...
All the copies with Jack Black in it.
Yeah. And they're these Yowies are subhuman. Or a subhuman
they're
species.
like cavemen.
And I'm pretty sure Yahoos and Gulliver's Travels are horses, but...
No,
they
they
weren't?
live on a planet. They live on an island with horses. So
Oh, I thought they were the horses.
No.
I literally
And I
don't
thought
know what any of this is.
Gulliver's Travels is like a Victorian novel, or even
Okay.
maybe before that. about a guy who goes on travels. He finds an island that everyone's really big, and he's small. Or he's found an island.
No, that's
where
the
he's
second
big.
island, my friend.
That's second. The first one is he's really big on an island of small people.
Yeah, and then it reverses, and he's the small one.
He's a small one, and the third one is a floating city that walks around, that flies around, taking people's supplies.
Which is arguably the coolest one.
And then the fourth one, he lands on an island of talking horses that are very smart. And then there's a bunch of dumb cave people running around, humping, causing problems. They're called yahoos. And he lives with the horses, and he's like, oh man, these yahoos, they're like humans. And he gets rescued, goes back to civilization, and he's like, I am the yahoo.
Whoa.
It's pretty good. Check it out.
I think I will.
Those old-timey Victorian people were freaking out.
Yeah. And now we got Tim the Yowie Man. Published author. No, it's not going to happen, mate.
Sorry to disappoint any of our Australian listeners.
Or in order to keep our Australian listeners, Eli will stop doing the accent.
Yeah, maybe he shouldn't.
Yeah, well, if you ever want to hear me do it one day, you just have to hang out with me for a long
Maybe
time.
I could try. Does
Whoa.
mine sound authentic at all? No, I don't know what's happening.
It's weird.
For a quick second, it sounded good.
It was pretty good.
Because I follow some people on Instagram who are Australian, and I watch their stories all the time. So like, I kind of get a feel for it, but then you just fall out of it.
I can do like, Morty, get in the car, Morty.
Going to bend again.
We're going to Bendy. You want to die today, Morty?
I don't know what that is.
Put another shrimp on the barbie.
Lady, it's time to get off the road. All right.
All right. All right.
All right, so we got a published author who claims to have seen a Yowie in 1994. His name is Tim the Yowie Man. And
instead of Tim the Toolman Taylor.
Tim Allen.
Yeah,
What?
From Home Improvement.
Anyways,
Tim the Yowie Man.
Tim the Yowie Man, he kind of goes around investigating Yowie sightings now. So, and he's got a couple books under his belt. So it's kind of cool.
Hey, that's cool, man.
Because it doesn't seems like America is where all the cryptozoologists are.
Yeah.
I mean the United States.
Oh.
Because I don't really see it. I mean, in like the UK, they have people looking for Black Panthers.
Yeah.
Over there. I don't know if you guys have heard of
Wakanda?
Yo.
Whoa.
Wakanda forever.
But.
Yvonne back.
But yeah, I guess all the cryptozoologists are in America. Because
Yeah.
everywhere else in the world, it's just like, hey, what about this weird animal that's haunting? That's part of life, mate. Like,
Yeah.
That's just the thing.
Right, but remember how I said that Yowie was a catch-all term?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because there is a second primate that lives down under.
Ooh.
And this is the one that Aboriginals are pretty scared of. And they call it the brown jack.
Ooh.
And he's smaller than a typical Yowie. Yowie's just like, he looks like Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But this one's smaller. No shoes. He can climb trees and is even known to craft spears.
Oh.
People think that he is an offshoot, a surviving Homo floresiensis. Let me say that. Homo floresiensis.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the hobbit.
Okay.
The little hobbit species.
Okay.
So, because they made tools and everything too.
Yeah.
So these brown jacks make spears and things like that.
Oh shit, that's wild.
So, and they actually stole. This poor man was down by the river with some Aboriginals, was walking down there, and they were attacked by brown jacks, and one swung from the trees
Yeah.
and snatched the sunglasses that were on the top of his head.
Oh no.
But they like scratched his scalp with their fingernails,
Ooh.
and he's got like scars still,
Yeah.
like on the top of his head, which I think is pretty crazy.
Crikey.
So, but yeah, they'll come out and attack you and try to eat you.
Take your Ray-Bans.
Yeah, basically that's why they're scared of them.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So Yowies and brown jacks,
Yeah.
and then Australia's got drop bears too.
What?
They're just like these little bears that live in the trees, and they drop down on your head and they kill you.
What?
Oh, I was about to say that's so cute, and then you said that they kill you part, and I was like, oh.
They're like evil koalas.
Wait, this is a cryptid or this is a real thing?
A bit of both,
Oh, okay.
from what I can tell. But yeah, Australia's a scary, dangerous place.
My mom used to want to live there until she found out that there's like giant spiders.
Yeah, the size of your hand, and they
Yeah.
just like walk around the house.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Australia, I don't think is a place people are meant to live because it's just full of danger, and that's why
It's
the
beautiful,
British
though.
sent all their criminals there to start.
It's beautiful.
People are doing fine, it seems like.
Yeah,
Just blast it.
just hanging out.
See it, just shoot it.
All right.
So,
Are
I don't
we
know.
coming to a close here, or do we have more to talk about?
I mean, I have a few honorable mentions.
Yeah, I got a couple honorable mentions.
All right, give them
We
to us.
have the Yiren,
Oh, yeah?
which is the Chinese wild man. He's also known as Ye Ren, or man monkey, or man bear.
Whoa.
Man Bear Pig?
Man bear pig.
I am so upset that I know that reference. I hate that show.
Oh,
Man, bear.
super
pig.
cereal, guys.
So sorry.
On this episode, we find out Jasmine doesn't like South Park.
Yep.
But he is a legendary creature that lives in the Chinese forest of Hubei, and the legend goes back like 2,000 years.
Whoa.
Of people talking about the myth and legend of the wild man. It's usually 6'5", covered in thick red hair, and looks like a cross between a half man, half monkey. Sightings. There's been recorded 400 sightings within the past few decades.
Whoa.
Of people seeing them since the 70s.
Wild.
Like in the 70s, it like jumped up sightings of them. And from what I can tell, they range from kind of just like the Yeti, to they just kind of they're just kind of like hanging out in the forest, doing their own thing, to sometimes grabbing stuff from people, like stealing food, or people having rocks thrown at them.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, they're just they don't seem to be evil. They're just hanging out. And what's really cool is there's this giant statue near, I believe, a museum dedicated to them.
Whoa.
And
In China?
yeah,
Whoa.
it's a mama
Oh, wow.
Bigfoot kissing a baby Bigfoot.
That's cute.
It's a pretty cool statue.
That's pretty sick. I
Yeah.
never heard about all that.
So I like it. And they're one of my all-time favorite movies is Big Trouble in Little China
Uh-huh.
by John Carpenter.
And they're
and-
referenced?
Yeah, there's
Oh.
actually a Chinese wild man in it, who's
Oh,
one of the
sick.
henchmen of the main bad guy.
Oh, sick.
It's dope.
Is
so-
he wearing makeup?
Yeah, it's a guy in a suit.
Oh, sick.
It's really cool looking.
Oh.
That movie's
sick.
awesome. Have you ever seen it? Watch it again. If you've never seen it, watch it the first time. Hands down, one of the best movies ever.
One ever?
Yeah.
Well,
If I was ever on a desert, the question, if you're ever on a desert island, what movie would you take with you?
I feel like you were about to say Desert Planet.
Or if you're ever on a desert planet in space, and you're like, how'd I get here? I wish I had a movie to buy time. Big Trouble in Little China for sure. That movie's awesome.
sick. I'll have to check it out. I have the orang pendek from Sumatra.
Okay.
He's a small, unknown primate. People have been looking for it for decades, but they have been able to find, like, definitive proof.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, Cliff Barrickman...
From Bigfoot Footprints, right?
Yeah, he has the Orang Pendek project on his website,
Okay.
and so they're like compiling evidence for it. So they have a couple audio clips, which don't really sound like anything, and then they also have some footprint casts.
Oh.
So it's pretty interesting. It's different from a Bigfoot because it's got the more like ape-like
Okay. The hand foot.
the hand foot thing going on, but I think it's pretty cool because there's not a whole lot on it, but it's like the first kind of, like I was saying, it doesn't seem like there's been a whole lot of study into strange animals in other countries.
Yeah.
So this seems like this guy's American.
Yeah, and he's like the only one who's kind of like, hey, let's go over to Sumatra.
Right.
There's a Bigfoot running around.
Right. It's pretty cool that's happening.
Yeah.
I also have this one, just a real quick one, Batutut.
Okay.
He's a proto-pygmy located in Malaysia, in the Malaysian state of Sabah.
Sabah.
And there's some footprints found. John McKinnon, a British zoologist, found some tracks in the 70s. But the rain, as he was following the tracks to where they led, the rain came in, which I think is interesting.
Happens all the time.
Right?
Happened on Monster Quest.
Oh,
Did it?
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
when
so
I
weird.
watched the Grassman episode, they were trying to send a drone camera up into the air, but the weather got too bad. The rain wouldn't have done anything because the
Right.
rain would have clouded the lens.
Mm-hmm.
That's so weird. It always happens. But it basically forced him to stop following the tracks.
I mean,
But interesting enough, he said that he was glad that it happened because he said he was unsettled by finding these tracks.
Yeah.
And he said even though he was following it, he didn't want to see where they led.
Yeah.
And so when the rain forced him to stop, he was like, yeah, I was kind of glad.
Cool.
He had an excuse.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, huh,
That's crazy because, I mean, I think we mentioned it before. It's just like the weather acts up sometimes when you're looking for Bigfoots.
Yeah.
They control the weather.
More often than not. It's kind of strange.
Yeah.
I have the Agogwe from East Africa.
Okay.
Small, woolly-haired biped. That's all I have on him.
Okay.
But interesting. You should check it out.
Yeah, check it out, y'all.
Another small-town monsters is Momo, the Missouri monster.
Mm-hmm.
Also another Bigfoot-like creature, but in Missouri.
Called Momo.
Yeah. Dogs disappearing.
Oh, he's adopting them.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, because that fits with all the other evidence we found.
Do you have any other weirdos you want to list off?
I got the last one here, and they're called Napes.
Okay.
So they're a population of chimpanzee-like apes, and they live in the Everglades as well. So, because like in the 1970s, the name kind of changed, or like the description of skunk ape kind of changed.
Okay.
So there's possibly two. There's the Napes, which are more chimpanzee-like, and then there's like the regular, more Bigfooty looking one.
Okay.
Which is skunk ape. So
Interesting.
they live in the Mississippi Valley though. That's what I have. So,
Ooh.
interesting.
Very cool. I got
Uh-huh.
one last thing that I think we're closing the episode. We're getting ready. I'll throw one last Bigfoot cousin out there. We got the Shaniyah, which is the Russian Bigfoot. I couldn't find too much about him. It's in Russian folklore. It's a Bigfoot that lives in Siberia. 6-7 feet tall with long black fur, and I went on Wikipedia just to kind of get a reference point for this guy, and it says 1928, the Soviet Union sent an expedition through Ingra, Rika, and Yanin River. The team claimed that the Shaniyah was similar to the Almas. And then it said, in parentheses, no citation needed. I was like, wait, what? I was like, wait, what the hell's an Alma? So.
Well, did we talk about that one?
No.
Alma? I think I have a definition for it. Maybe. But it might take me too long to pull it up.
Well, an Alma, real quick, is a Mongolian Bigfoot. Said to inhabit the Caucasus and Pamir Mountains of Central Asia and the Altai Mountains of Western Mongolia. Creatures not currently recognized or cataloged by science. But this is what an Alma looks like, and I'm telling you, science is missing out.
Oh, my Lord. That reminds me of the Yeti thing.
Yeah, and if you Google what an Alma is for cryptozoology, it's a Bigfoot with big boobs. Like, giant boobs. So, that and science will not recognize it. What are you trying to hide, science? What are you afraid of?
They're afraid of big boobs.
Somehow we always end up on a weird subject like this.
I don't know.
Hey,
it
man.
kind of happens.
You know, cryptozoology's wild. There's
true.
There's more boobies in it than I thought there would be.
Oh, my Lord.
Well,
thank you, everybody.
Thanks for hanging out with us while we talked about all these crazy guys.
Yeah, it was a nice
and
rest
ladies,
stop.
apparently.
Yeah, a nice rest stop on Bigfoot Mountain, talking about Sasquatch's cousins. Learned a lot, saw a lot, felt a lot.
Talked a lot.
Maybe one day, because there's a lot of information out there. We didn't even, there was so many that I was like, I'm not even going to mention it.
Yeah.
That maybe we'll do another one of these, or maybe we'll just focus on like one or two for an episode. I don't know.
I think it'd be fun, because there's a lot to it. You know, we did a lot of bullet points.
Yeah.
But we want to thank you all for listening. It was a lot of fun, very informative.
Join us next week when we talk about, when we watch Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah, we brought a movie projector with us on the mountain. And we're going to screen it on this big rock for all the woodland critters to see. But my name is Alex Daikaiju. If you want to follow me on social medias, I'm on Instagram at Twitter. That's Alex DAIKAIJU. Keep an eye on my Instagram. I've been doing cryptid art and posting a lot about my new pictures. If you want to see some cool pictures of Nessie or Jersey Devil. What about yourself?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as well. My name is the same on both platforms. It's my full name, Jasmine Maywith. JASMINEMAEWITH.
What about you, fella?
You can find me at the official Cryptid Campfire Instagram, at Cryptid Campfire. Forgot for a minute what it was.
We also have a Twitter
Yeah,
under
we
the
have
same
official
name.
Yeah.
Cryptid Campfire
And
Twitter.
Alex runs that,
Yes,
so
sir.
feel free to reach him through there. And I'm being more active on Twitter now because I forsook everything else and I just focused on the cryptozoology Twitter.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem that toxic.
That place
so
is popping.
It does. Everyone's nice to each other there. No one's screaming at each other. So
That's nice.
for now, we'll see what happens.
But yeah, follow us there, and if you want to email us any stories, any sightings you might have had, or just anything, cryptidcampfirepodcast@gmail.com. I think that's everything.
That's everything.
We'll see you guys next week when we hike up a little further and watch Harry and the Hendersons.
I'm bringing the popcorn.
Bring in the soda pop.
And I'm bringing the Blu-ray.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Boy.